You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Hi, I'm Hedwig Hale, author of She Bites. You're watching The Experience.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
What's going on, buddy?
It is New Comic Book Day.
It is. It doesn't feel like Wednesday. I don't know what it feels like. It doesn't feel like Wednesday. So we're going to try something new next week. We want to do it today, but unfortunately...
We're going to suck less?
Well, you might. But unfortunately, John could not find his 64 crayons.
I'll try to find it for next week, so I'll be coloring.
So he'll be coloring your cover sketches from this point going forward.
And those prices will be significantly lower.
Actually, they'll be negative. We'll actually pay you money to take it off our hands. So who we got here? We got Triple B in the house. Marcus, what's going on, bud? Preston, Jeff Wedding, what's going on?
200 spam Masubi in an hour is a lot because as you're going, the rice expands. So, there are certain things I used to do, like a lot of eating contests and stuff.
You know, that makes sense.
When I was younger, but you can there's certain things you do and certain things you don't do. Like wings are great. Stuff with like rice and potatoes.
It just sounds like you're speaking from experience. That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't sound good though. Eating contest with rice and potatoes.
Well,
yeah, that's not. You want to do primarily like White Castle burgers. I did. Like a certain amount in 20 minutes. How many can you do in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever. White Castles are easy. Though.
I have actually read it, JD. So what everybody is referring to is JD's stream title is "If you want 200 comics an hour, move along." Comic Collectables with Rex and John. So that's why everybody's referring to the 200.
Oh, I like that though. That's really good.
So we will not. Hey, Kenneth Bird, what's going on? We will not have 200 comics, but
we'll have 4. We're going to do 4.
400 comics.
We're shooting for 200 name drops. So buckle up.
Oh my God!
Okay?
No. It's been a quiet day for me primarily.
We're going to lose them that way at 200, man.
I was going to say they're going to be tanked at 200.
What? Say again, Alec?
They're going to be tanked. 200 name drops.
Well,
yeah.
JD, listen, we won't present any comics. If you want to run to the store real quick, your local liquor store, and pick up enough, and we'll wait for you, buddy. No problem.
So 2019, let me tell you who I have at the dinner table. No, I'm just kidding.
It was a dark night in 2019.
No, it was in San Diego. I had met John Noble, who is an actor, and he was sitting outside.
Lars, man. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I got your email and I forgot to email you back. It's been kind of a crazy week, so I'll actually bring it back on air if I can find it. I honestly will, or I will absolutely email you that information. I apologize, buddy.
Booze Hub app. There is an app that delivers alcohol, isn't there?
I don't know if there's an app. I know
you can get
there is
alcohol through GoPuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that.
I do it every Sunday.
Oh, hello. And Weird, what's going on, man?
Drizzly, thank you. That was the one I was thinking of, Drizzly.
So funny story. So John sends me this app, and I got to tell you, dude, I was halfway serious because the way that you worded this
I realized that afterwards.
I'm reading it like, so
drop
I'm
a name,
everybody, right? So I suspected that John's phone got hacked somehow, right? So hold on, let me see if I can find it, right? So he sends it out of the blue. Okay. He sends me this text, and it says, all right, and tell me if this doesn't sound. So he sends the app, and then, dude, you absolutely have to check out this app if you haven't already. Set your limit to 8 miles, and there's like a dozen places participating. Simple to use. Today I scored 2 dozen bagels for $3.99. Now, I get texts from John at the Regal when he's making a breakfast sandwich at his house, when he goes to Baggio's and recreates the John Cole. But I'm reading this thing like, are you kidding me? I'm not stupid. Okay,
click here.
Listen, I'm not a senior citizen on Social Security quite yet. Jay Burns, what's up, man? So I'm looking at this thing going, man, did he get hacked? So, because it's happened. Actually, believe it or not, Nick got hacked. And it was an email, or I want to say it was a text or an email. I don't remember, but I'll tell you that story in a second, right? So then sends me pictures of his bagels. Then the next text is, it's a program to reduce food waste by offering end-of-the-day product at a huge discount. Last week, we snagged a large sausage pizza from Casa Nostra for $4.25. I know that you're like me and like getting more for less.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
again,
you still think it
yeah.
sounds
I
like
mean,
that?
come on. Everything you've said here sounds like you're trying to get me to click on a link, and then my phone's going to be hacked, right? All right. So then I'm like, wait a minute. All right, time out, because this happened with Nick, right? So I'm like, this is you, right? And he goes, it is. Well, that doesn't make it any better, right?
Is.
So I just thought, a test. Drop a name for me, okay? So he takes a picture of himself, okay, and sends it to me. I guess this is your house on the couch.
It's in the dog's room. Yeah.
Okay, it's in the dog's room. All right, so I respond. They could have stolen the pic from your Facebook page. Not enough. Okay, so
then he asked for my credit card information.
Give me your social too. I need it.
So it's LOL. You want me to name drop? You're going to do a shot at work. And now at that point, I knew it was John too. Okay, or it's a viewer on the show. It's a win-win, in my opinion, right?
Somebody.
We picked up another viewer. He's a hacker, but hey, he's a viewer, right? So
that's not greenlighting any of the viewers to hack any of us, by the way.
So Nick actually got hacked a few months ago, and a whole bunch of us, they hacked his address.
That's because he wouldn't do Lone Ranger again, so I had to make calls. Did he learn his lesson?
I don't know. Is he doing Lone Ranger?
You gotta check your email though.
You gotta check your email.
So it was really weird, right? So, in the middle of the day, I get a text,
hey, Miss Jen.
Hey, Miss Jen, are you busy? I need you to do something for me. That's not an unusual text from Nick, right? So I'm like, okay, but it was just weird, because normally it'd be email, or if he needed me to do something urgent, he would just call me, right? So I thought it was a little odd, but I'm like, okay, yeah, what do you need? So then it gets weird. So then the guy says, I need you to run out and get a $2,500 gift card. I'm on a Zoom call right now. I'm like, all right, hold up.
Yeah,
okay. We have a whole accounting department that
I don't
takes
think
care of
anybody
that.
works here makes that in a year.
Okay, well, wait a minute. So we've got a whole accounting department. So why are you calling me, right?
Yeah, I know,
that doesn't make any sense, right? So I'm like, in the event that something happened, whatever, I text back, how do we know each other? And then I get a text back, I don't have time for this. I'm in the Zoom call, and I need it right after my call. I said, yikes. How do we know each other? Where do we meet? All right. And he kept pushing it off, kept pushing me off. I go, I think I texted back something like, what was it was something that only Nick and I would know, or something like that, when we met years and years ago about QVC and stuff, right? I said, oh, that's right. I said, what was the first item you sold my company? And the guy just kept pushing off. And at that point, I knew it wasn't Nick. And then all of a sudden, about like 5 minutes later, an email comes to the entire office that, don't be careful. I've been hacked, blah, 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 blah. Don't answer any, blah, 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 blah. And then, many of us start to report, yeah, they've already reached out to us and they're trying to blah, blah, blah. So you got to be careful these days, man.
You really do.
Marcus, that's right. The telltale sign is the gift card, right? It's like, and the other thing is, we got an entire accounting department here. Okay, if he needed something like that, he would call the accounting department. He wouldn't call me. That's crazy. So I was just like, are you kidding me with this? The logic behind that is just
simply outrageous. They're in a Zoom call. It's like, hey, I'm in a meeting. I need this money ASAP. Go get me a gift card.
A gift card.
Dude, hey, let me tell you.
Who are you in the Zoom call with? That's what I want to know. In
So-
this scenario, who's on the other end of this? The kingpin?
Several years ago, right? This was a good one.
Oh,
Right?
come
So
on with
several
that.
years ago, another company I was working for, we had just started the new company, whatever, right? So the guy in accounting was still big book of checks. He was still writing
checks.
he was still handwriting checks, right? So to the vendors and stuff. So all of a sudden, guy calls, got caught up. And weird. So a guy calls up and he got caught up in the scam. And he goes, are you guys so-and-so? And I go, yes, we are. He said, well, you guys issued me a 20, I forget how much the amount. It was a lot, actually. It was probably like $8,000 or $9,000 check, and it just bounced. I'm like, we just wrote you an $9,000 check and it bounced, right? I'm like, well, who are you? Blah, 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 right? And he begins to explain the story. I said, all right, I'll tell you what. I said, why don't you, if you can, send me a copy of the check, right? I wanted to help the guy out because I was beginning to suspect something was up, right? Sends me a copy of the check. It's a good forgery, man. It is, but it's one of those printed checks, right? And it was a good forgery. Nice. Everything was right. The bank really existed. I Googled it, and the branch was correct, except that they wouldn't honor the check. But the problem that this guy had, and I was immediately able to answer the guy's question. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, that check's not from us. And the reason I know that is, we just started this end of the business, so we're still handwriting checks. And this is way too professional looking for us. This isn't us. And I guess the guy was out the money. I feel really bad, But you hear about these things all the time, man. It's horrible. A new level of crime. They don't need a gun anymore. They just take your.
And the moral of the story: go check out the app Too Good to Go. Put in your zip code, and places like that throw out.
And this is the real John.
Yeah, no, this is Josh said it. People who work in the food industry know. Whatever you have in the cases on the shelf, you close at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that stuff is sitting there. You kind of get to the point where nobody is there, right? For a friend who uses in Hoboken, New Jersey, it's like 62 places in like a 5-block radius.
That's a really dense.
But even here, I was going to say, even here in South Jersey, kind of like a little bit hillbilly sort of, there's a ton of places within 4 or 5 mile drive of here. Bagels, pizza. I hit that place Casa Nostra because I wanted to try their pizza.
Where is that?
Evesboro.
Oh, that's way out of my radius.
It took me from my house 9 minutes to get there.
It looks good though. I haven't downloaded the app, but I'm going to.
But the point is, it helps you reduce food waste.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the people from Manhattan Bagels in Moorestown was one of the.
Oh, I know that one, right by the McDonald's.
Yeah, like one of the initial
contributors.
Her and her husband are big time. My wife sits on these township committees for cutting food waste, distributing anything charitable. She's married to such like a greedy person like me. She's got to counterbalance the karma by giving stuff away, including some of my stuff.
Lyle, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Essentially, I tell people, especially, I'll tell you who this is really good for. If you're single, maybe you live in an apartment, you're not really into, you get home from your terrible, soul-sucking job. You just want to game until the edibles knock you out. But in the meantime, you've got to have something to eat, right? This is a place for you to stop at $4 or $5, take half a pizza home.
I got to be honest with you. I have not cooked in so long because my daughter's just not at home for dinner or whatever. She's out doing her stuff. And literally
in those terms, you essentially live alone.
Yeah, I got my cast iron pan's sitting in my oven and it's been sitting there for a while. I don't even pull it out when I warm up pizza, man. So I'm going to try this because, let me
There's
say.
a few places on there. I set the radius for like 8 miles, which is about the most I want to drive at night.
That's it, Stevie B. There you go, buddy.
Oh, man.
There you go, my friend. All right, I have to make mention of this. I feel bad for you, Stevie B. That was the absolute worst collapse I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just to be in first place for that long and within the last couple of weeks to just kind of lose the division and then get eliminated in the first wild card series is just unbelievable, mate. I know. Making you cry, buddy.
We weren't kidding. There's only 4 comics we're doing tonight, right?
Yeah, I know.
I was gonna say, I heard the Phillies are doing very well. I'm not a baseball guy. I support them, but
Well, they won game 1 against the Braves. Go Phils. The game was supposed to start, I think, at 4:35, but unfortunately, they've been rained out. So we're waiting to see if it starts. So which actually may be a good thing for me because I'll be able to, after the show, go home and watch the game. But so the game has not started. They beat.
Does baseball do best of 7?
It depends. Wild card is best of 3.
Is it still wild card?
No, the wild card's over. All right. So the Phils swept. So now they face the Braves in the division series. So that's, I believe, 5 games. And then the National League champion, the NLCS, will be 7 games, and obviously the World Series is 7 games as well. So
that makes sense. That's actually a good setup.
Yeah, it's not bad. So the Phils are having a fantastic season. I know, Stevie B. Believe me, I know, buddy. I feel for you. That was just a horrendous collapse. I just never saw anything. Preston, the Sixers are looking good, man. I think they're looking good. Matisse Thybulle, everybody's talking about how great he's doing. So I'm encouraged. It's something else to me. So ironically enough, being a football fan, you'll appreciate this. As the Phils or as the Eagles beat the Arizona Cardinals, the Phils were in the wild card matchup with the St. Louis Cardinals, and both teams obviously beat Cardinals that day. So that was yes, sir, Marcus, we are. All right, so I'm going to get those best offer comments. We'll keep talking. Lots of stuff to cover tonight. All right, so first,
does anyone really tune in for comics anymore other than Ron?
I'm not sure.
I just, Ron, just call Ken and have him do stuff for you.
Lyle, yeah, right. Lyle is a Seahawks fan. Lyle, I got to tell you, I'm very, very impressed with Geno Smith. That's been fun to watch. A kind of a second life because he was another quarterback that the Jets ruined. There's so many down the list, but also happy the Jets are doing well as well.
And one quarterback the Jets didn't ruin.
There is none. They've ruined every quarterback. Chad Pennington.
Flash Gordon. Save the universe.
Okay, let me rephrase. Real quarterbacks say you ruined.
I'm telling you right now, it's all fake.
All
it's
right.
all fictitious.
Let's get to the best offer books before I have to yell at John.
Comics.
Wait, what's this?
Yeah. He said to watch the Phillies if there's a chance that Mia Khalifa is in the crowd. It's like a gamer, sports girl, whatever.
All right, here we go. So
she's something. She used to be something.
I just left it there. She's a gamer.
He said
she loves sports or other interests.
I think she's a gamer girl. I don't know about that one.
I don't. Anyone young enough to be my child, I wish you luck. God bless.
All right. So first up, first best offer book, we have Panther Volume 2, number 1. Tom Snagowski and Janine Atchison dual signed Atlas edition. Suggested retail $49.99 and is a best offer book starting at $19.69. AR, don't give these old men heart attacks.
Right? I mean, it's true though. People are like, oh, they asked me these questions or whatever, like about cosplayers or whatever. I'm like, she could be my child. Get away from me. I don't want to know that. That's too creepy. The last thing I want is to be the subject of a Netflix documentary next year.
So, all right. So next up, we got Secret Invasion number 3, DF exclusive alternate cover signed by Mel Ruby. It is a best offer book starting at $19.84.
That's a cool cover.
It is a cool cover.
Agreed.
All right.
I like the fact that we're seeing a lot, right? To catch a cold. I want no part of any of that stuff at all. One of the things I noticed, and I guess this was really prevalent, like in the What If Miles Morales thing, we saw all these different versions of Nick Fury. And I thought the Nick Fury that was very cool was Miles' dad when he was Captain America. I'd like to see, I don't know if they're trying to see which universe is the most successful. The man who killed Regal. That would be fair. Preston, that would be fair. I would like to see more of that. Some of those other, we've talked about this before. A friend of mine just read it, and we were talking about it the other night, where he becomes Thor, where he becomes Wolverine. Only Gwen Stacy can pull that off. Very few characters can jump from, what if I was this guy? What if I was that guy?
All right. So now, let me see here. So
looking
I
forward
don't
to
know.
Tom and Janine have something. that they're doing for Dynamite next year, which is under wraps.
All right. So now, let me see here. So I don't know.
Looking forward to Tom and Janine have something that they're doing for Dynamite next year, which is under wraps.
All right. So now, let me see here. So I don't know. then we can't talk about it.
But no, I'm just saying, look out for. They have like a self-published project that they're doing. They're doing some Halloween thing. Of course, you know.
JD's asking if that was a name drop. I don't think so.
I mean, honestly,
you didn't personally speak to them about that. You're just mentioning that they have a project.
Oh, I know what the project is.
Yeah, JD, it's a name drop, buddy. That's 2.
Yeah.
Just keeping track.
But I'm just saying that, you know, keep an eye out for it. I'm not sure when the announcement will be.
All right. Let's see. All right, next one up. Oh, so I don't know if everybody read about it. So there's going to be a new Barbarella film.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Of course, all they've confirmed is Sydney Sweeney is going to star. It's at Sony Pictures, but they don't have anything else, I think, mapped out yet. Like a director or any of that stuff. So, but that's exciting enough.
Barbarella, Red Sonja is being made.
Right.
There's another Green Hornet project. You know what the best thing about a Green Hornet movie would be? Your
You'll
buddy
be
in
happy.
the office next door would have to start making Green Hornet comics again. That'd be the best thing about that. Chop chop.
And weird. The man who killed the movie theater, the John story. Good one. All right. So
I wasn't there today.
You weren't where today?
At the movies. I wasn't at the movies today.
What's the matter? Nothing new out?
No, I was just kind of rewatching stuff. I spent a lot of yesterday at the movies.
All right. So since there's a Barbarella film going to be made, hopefully details will be forthcoming very soon. We have 2 Barbarella books for the night.
Nice.
Barbarella number 8, premium metal cover by Derek Chu. It's going to be a best offer book starting at $50. We'll give JD a second there.
He probably fell asleep with all the non-comics talk. Not at all.
All right. JD, is it not there or something?
No, he left. Are you not listening to me?
He went to get more alcohol.
There it is.
You can keep up. He goes, my God, we're 20 minutes in and it's already up to 3.
Do a Rex cap of the one book that you did.
That's so untrue. I've done 3. All right, here's the 4th book of the night, and then we're going to say goodnight.
Now we're done. We're 4 and out.
Barbarella number 8, premium metal cover by Selena. It is also a best offer book starting at $50.
That one's really, really cool.
All right, so.
And I'll tell you, if you're looking for more Barbarella stuff, obviously you can hit up Dynamite, Dynamic Forces. Pretty much everyone on this channel is a retailer. But if you want to get something kind of specialized and kind of cool, go find Rachel Holland on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. She does these really cool sort of personalized cosplay cover type things for Barbarella. She's got a few photo sets out there that she's hoping will be future. The one I know for a fact will be a future cosplay cover, but it's a way to kind of treat yourself and get something different.
All right, so that's Ed Weird. Yes, Jay.
And that was fun. Good night, everybody.
Sydney Sweeney, is attached to the project.
Who's next after us? Jen, does she have to start like an hour and a half early because we're out?
We're done. Bye.
Bye. She probably could too. I think it would take her about 60 seconds to get ready to go.
All right. So excited about the Phillies. You can
tell.
I'm not a big fan of this shirt. So this was like last minute. I had tickets to the game. I need to get a shirt. It's taking my nephew. And, I just bought it off the rack at Target. Everything else was too expensive. And I realized when I put it on to go to the game, it looked like pajamas. See? Thank you.
Well, remember the days when you got to go to Moe's and everybody, I used to love going to Moe's. Yeah. You know how much a Flyers jersey would cost?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I think by now people who watch this show know. If I go to wrestling, I go all in. If I go to a con, I go all in. But when you're going to like a Flyer game and the jersey is more than the tickets, there's a little bit, and yeah, I could just as easily get something cheaper, but I never do that. They just should not be that. Like I love Moe's, but I don't know who's doing the pricing there. Some of the stuff I saw was just,
no shot I'd be buying new jerseys like that. They're absurd. They're absolutely
absurd. The trick is this. Actually, I'll tell you what the trick is. And it just, I had already said at the beginning of the season, because of the lockout, I was just so mad. I'm not going to watch baseball at all. And then one day, I don't know, Phillies game was on.
Says that.
My daughter comes home and she doesn't really watch TV. Everything is through her phone and whatever. And, she's in the kitchen, whatever. And she comes back around and she goes, Dad, I thought you weren't watching baseball anymore. I'm like, oh crap. I didn't even realize I was doing it. So I didn't buy anything, but what I usually do, and usually it's because most Philadelphia teams are not in the postseason. As soon as that happens, then you go and all the stuff's on sale. And that's when I buy my gear.
Well, yeah, one day the stadium, it's like Eagles
I
shirts,
never buy it at the
and
stadium.
the next day it's Spirit of Halloween, because they are out like a flash.
Yeah, well, I never buy at the stadium, dude. I mean, the beer's $14.
I give people credit because those are people that, again, they're all in. When you're waiting online at a game that you paid to go to, and you're on a line 13, 14 deep, so you can get a jersey that I could have ordered from Amazon for half the price. I give people, smart, no. Passionate, absolutely.
I will say this. I have a buddy who's like totally, I think he's got a jersey for every Major League Baseball team. He's a huge fan. I think, whenever he travels, he tries to catch a local game wherever he is, right? So the jersey, obviously, his wife was complaining it was getting kind of expensive. It's like you keep ordering all these jerseys. It costs a lot of money. So he found this great place overseas that he could order from, okay? But there was a problem. So he ordered a Yankees jersey. Unfortunately, it was short an E.
I didn't know if the spelling was wrong. It was going to be like Avengers or something.
Oh, my gosh. We were laughing at him because he posted it in our group chat, and we were like, well, you got what you want.
That's pretty funny.
Buddy. Yeah, exactly, JD.
See, this is not bootleg. I was happy to send my money to Cobra Kai. Happy to send my money.
Josh went. That's how. Again, I tell you exactly, Josh. Thank you, dude.
Josh
Yeah,
is in Philadelphia. Why doesn't he come over here and do the show instead of doing it from?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, Josh.
I didn't realize he was across the river.
Yeah, Josh lives in Philly. Absolutely. I agree with you 110%, Josh. That's right. I wait until they get bounced out of the postseason, and I go to Boscov's or Target and get it half price.
We should Venmo Josh some money and have him stop at Angela's and get cheesesteaks.
Yeah, Marcus, rare variant jersey. You're absolutely right. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Ron Hextall. That is pretty cool, man.
That was suggested to the publisher, by the way. Limited edition shirts.
What's that?
That was suggested to the publisher, by the way. Limited edition shirts.
How'd that work out? About as good as Lone Ranger?
To be determined. I hate to say it. The Lone Ranger doesn't get published because it's like me and 6 people that buy that book. It's just, it's too much of a gap. I mean, let's put it this way. When you've got John Cassaday doing a book and people are still not buying it, okay. I mean, at some point, sometimes it's okay to say, there's just not, it's a business, right? People are like,
right.
Oh, why doesn't Dynamite publish that? So what, they're going to print 10,000 copies and sell 12? You know what I mean? It's just not.
All right. So the Fanatics branded jerseys are not good. Yeah, I got it. Well, that's the problem when one company ends up chewing up the entire market.
I like that. So 7 of us should get together.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Somebody already did the Lone Ranger story I would do, though. If I was actually had talent to write, I was going to write. It was, I can't remember the name of it. It was Lone Ranger, Green Hornet. They were at the Olympics. They met Jesse Owens. Lone Ranger wanted Jesse Owens to become the new Ranger. Very, very cool. Very well done. If I was ever going to do a story like that, I would, a lot of people don't know this, but the Green Hornet is a descendant of the Lone Ranger. So I would have tried to put those two things together.
That's interesting.
Well, there's a great line that every old man appreciates. The president is like, you have to do something, Lone Ranger. And he's like, I'm 84 years old. You're lucky I got here.
All right. Next up, we've got Daredevil number 600, comic sketch art exclusive variant cover by Andy Granoff, signed by Charles Soule.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a retail $49.99, and we have one available for $19.64.
It's a cool cover.
And I just realized that we got to go to our first break. Boy, that half hour went fast, huh? All right.
I guess we'll be back in a little bit.
Yeah, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Comic Collectables is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectables on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
Hi, I'm Seda Wolf. I'm the creator of Soulstream, and you're watching The Experience.
All right, so we're back. Yeah, you're a little grainy, Alec.
Am I?
JD, or
Maybe it's just in his skin regimen. Don't be so judgmental.
all right. Yeah, I know sometimes you struggle with your internet connection there, brother. All right, JD sees it too. All right, well, that's okay.
He seems to be making a quizzical face like when we talk about sci-fi shows from the 70s.
You mean like Star Trek?
Like,
Am I good now?
You sound fine, but you just you're starting to get a little sharper, buddy. And now you're not.
You're a winner, and we all like you.
All right, don't worry about it. It'll resolve itself at some point, I'm sure. Oh, Preston goes, oh, I thought that was me after the last few name drops. All right, so let's get to our first cover sketch. The Batman Who Laughs #1, signed with Terry McGinnis Batman cover. Cover sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have the one available for $69.99.
And I'll throw this out there, what I just got a peek of before he left when it arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the new Joe Del Beato stuff arrived for Mariano de Color, and holy cow. I think those guys were just warming up.
All right.
Hey, I gotta ask you guys. It's been a week. What'd you think of Werewolf by Night?
I have not watched
I
it.
love it.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
Dude, you had all the football, then the Phils are in the wild card. I got to catch up, bro. And you know what? I hate to say it. I fell asleep at game 2.
How about I'll put it on right now? And
Yes, this is coming from me.
oh, you know what? I forgot to go over there. I completely forgot.
Man.
I'm sorry. I didn't even think about it.
I'll send you a text next time.
You know what? Actually, you should remind me, because a lot of times when I'm over there, it's usually I'm over there weekends and at night in the kitchen when they're closed, working with their chefs.
All right. So it Weird says he loves it. He loved it.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times. What a shock. It's really, really good. Well,
It might be my favorite thing I've seen from Disney Plus. Like it's very good.
You see this? Gen King they have seasons. We don't have it. So should we be doing like season finales, season premiere?
We have a season. It's fall.
Well, Jen has like 9 different shows, right? So she probably has to have seasons. I barely remember to come over on Wednesday. I'm like, oh, New Comic Book Day. Let me shoot over.
Oh yeah. Let's. All right. Let me put another book out there, and then we'll talk about New Comic Book Day. All right. We got Star Wars #1, Ross variant, signed by Alex Ross, and it is number 15 of 50 signed, and we have one available for $199.99. Okay, it looks like Josh went like a 2. His only complaint is it should have been longer. Could have easily taken another 20, 30 minutes to expand into the
I had the conversation with Nick about this. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the fight scene and the stuff. But beyond that, to me, maybe they wanted it under an hour. I don't know. I probably would have went, instead of 44 minutes, I probably would have went 55 minutes. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like this thing's ever going to be chopped up.
No, I also only had one complaint with it. I mean, I don't really want to spoil anything for Rex, but there's just, besides the fight scene.
Sorry, dude. Don't even worry about me. There's no such thing as spoilers. I forget everything anyway.
Kyle, we agreed that we would give everyone 3 hours from the drop, and then we're spoiling.
Okay. I just wish we would have seen the werewolf more. That's all.
I agree. And I think that was almost done intentionally because I love werewolf movies and I really love black and white movies. I've been watching a ton of them because it's that time of year. And I've noticed they kind of, probably because at the time they didn't have much in the way of special effects, the werewolf is sort of more hinted at than anything else. It's almost Lovecraftian in the way it's suggested and it goes in your mind what this thing looks like.
Well, I'll have to watch it. I mean,
Even American Werewolf in London is that way.
Yeah.
People are like, I have great memories of that. So do I. But you don't see the werewolf that much.
What's going on, Joel? All right. Yeah. So no, if the rain delay doesn't stop tonight, because I don't know the weather.
Do you want to go home so you can watch the game?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's not on. It's a rain delay. So if it gets rained out or something like that, I'll probably catch up on my streaming.
I hope it's not raining now. I think
it honestly really was that good.
All right, tomorrow. What's that?
It honestly really was that good of a special. I was impressed with it from start to finish.
I've read good reviews online.
And there have been some people saying they would love to see this director next Halloween do Tomb of Dracula, which I think I would.
I want Tomb of Dracula way before. I mean, I'm being antsy with that one, but that's more Marvel stuff that I enjoy. Tomb of Dracula, Werewolf by Night. That's the stuff that I really like. I would have loved to have seen that.
People are talking about where Marvel goes next, right? Because Marvel peaked. Let's be honest. When it comes to superhero storytelling, the peak is Avengers Endgame, right? You have all these stories told, and everything sort of culminates in Avengers Assemble, right? And then there's the inevitable sort of, well, okay, where do we go from here? They're trying all these different things, right? You had Winter Soldier where they kind of tried to keep the superhero momentum going. I wouldn't say it wasn't successful, but it was what it was, right? And then they tried comedy in She-Hulk, and they've tried sort of like, not necessarily horror, but we had WandaVision. They're trying all these different things. We talked about this before. I think if Marvel would pick a direction and focus and go forward, it should be Marvel horror. And this is going to be weird for me to say this because the movie was just a slow-moving train wreck. But I would love to see them try to work out something, Sony, whatever, where they get Marvel Knights put together so they can get the Morbius character done correctly.
Right.
And then tuck Marvel Knights in with the Marvel's horror universe, the whole Tomb of the Unknown, Chamber of Horrors. You had a Bernie Wrightson version of Frankenstein. Tomb of Dracula, Werewolf by Night. I think that should be what they're going for next. I think recreating the Universal Monster Universe with their characters is good because let's be honest, Miss Marvel had mixed reviews. She-Hulk had mixed reviews. WandaVision had mostly good reviews, but there were still people out there like, I don't get what I'm looking at here, right?
I talk to a lot of people still that say WandaVision's the worst show they've seen so far.
You see what I mean?
I don't agree with it, but
I don't either.
I do understand where they're coming from with it. It was 20 minutes an episode. There weren't many episodes, and the first 3, maybe 4 episodes were just different time periods, and really nothing did happen. I see it, and the ending was pretty bad. Not bad, but it just not that great in my opinion. So if someone says they don't like WandaVision, I respect it. I really liked WandaVision though.
Yeah, I liked WandaVision. To me, I think, and I'm taking my personal feelings aside, because my favorite thing is Winter Soldier. The closer you get to Captain America, the happier I am, right? So Winter Soldier I really liked. But objectively, I would say the thing that had the most, if you're using Disney Plus to expand, keep the Marvel train rolling, so to speak, the MCU train rolling, right, is What If. Mm-hmm. I think What If sort of worked in a way where touch to the multiverse is the next thing they're going to do, right? Because you've got cosmic, you've got horror. They've done superheroes, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have any more superheroes, but I think that that's been about as done as as good as it can go. I think horror, I think cosmic stuff. I think that's how they push out the MCU further on, and then they can use Disney Plus to decide, hey, do we want to make a Man-Thing movie? Do we want, you know what I mean?
And based on that last special, they easily could. They could easily do something else. That was one of the best parts of it.
Well, I think Man-Thing is 2022's Groot, right? For essentially, he fits into that mold of like the monster guy on the team,
right?
Sort of, so to speak.
And they kind of treated him like Groot too, just like I don't know, just the way the interactions were. It wasn't like a negative. It was just kind of like what they did with Groot. Like, oh, come on.
It was like they talked to him, right? And they talked to him, and we don't understand. It was to me, it was very Star Wars. The way when someone speaks to a droid, they speak droid, but the viewer doesn't. And the way the dialogue is written, you have to kind of fill in your mind what the droid has said.
Right.
It's like the R2 thing, and I think that's what they did with Man-Thing. Essentially, it's right, but then meanwhile, Jack Russell and all the other characters are sort of talking to Ted.
So it weird wasn't a WandaVision fan.
I agree. It did feel like Han and Chewie. Some of the characters.
I see what JD's saying there. But Ed Weird was a fan of What If. So that's interesting. All right.
When you've already explored everything, quote unquote, in your universe, right? Now, I'm not going to say that a solo Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo wouldn't work, but I think you've had 2 tries at a Hulk solo movie. They're just not very good. I mean, they're just not very good. Edward Norton can say what he wants. He didn't understand the character.
Right.
He just didn't. I mean, he's a great actor. I love him in a ton of stuff. Tremendous respect for him. It takes a certain type of performer to understand the Marvel Universe. And if you're not ready to put in the time and I'm just going to treat this like any other assignment, that immediately tells me we're not going to get a good result.
Right.
When Jared Leto agreed to do Morbius, he said, my agent told me to tell people, I'm not even going to look at any of the comics. He said, but my manager said, read every Morbius comic you can find to understand the character. And it turned out that's exactly what Matt Smith did. They wanted to read the material. And while the movie Morbius was not good, both Matt Smith and Jared Leto, they did about as good a job as, they did as good a job as they could. Jen is claiming AR's Berserk hardcover. Sure. If you see it, it's yours.
All right. You know what? Somebody mentioned.
I'm about 3 behind right now. I've been slacking on the Berserk, but it's one of the best things I've ever read. It's incredible.
All right. Since somebody mentioned Groot, it's a good segue.
That's good.
We have Rocket Raccoon #1 blank variant signed with Rocket Raccoon cover sketch by Ken Hazer and Scotty Young.
Wow, that's something. Wow.
Suggested retail of $149.99, and we have the one available for $75. Now,
that is sweet. That's
found in the bowels of the Dynamic Forces warehouse. One of the guys found it for me and brought it up to
Guardians, me. This is your time, man. That was
perfect timing, right? Let's see, Preston. Wait. Did I miss something? Preston, are you claiming the Star Wars? Did I miss that, Preston? No, that's why. Thank you for saying that. Preston, I got you down, buddy.
You don't want to let people buy books anymore? What are we doing here?
I missed it. Luckily, I have it streaming as well here on mute. So I got you, Preston. You're good, buddy.
Jen said that's 2014 era, Scotty.
Okay.
I'm
that's dating it, buddy.
I think that's Rocket Raccoon. People say he's an acquired taste, right? I think that's sometimes the representations of him artistically are not the best. I think this one is very cool.
So Joel says Andor is good. I couldn't muscle past the first 2 episodes.
Andor is good if you like Rebel 1. If you don't like Rebel 1, why would you be watching what's essentially a prequel? I don't, you know what I mean? To me, it's very cut and dried.
You got it, Preston.
Rogue One. I'm sorry. I think I said Rebel 1. Rogue One. For me, bad Star Wars is just like bad comic book movies or bad horror is better than anything else. I will go see bad horror over and over again rather than my wife dragging me to Fathom Events, Madame Butterfly. That's a no. She's free to go, take the tickets, leave me out of it.
So I'm sure most people have seen it. Marvel and Disney are pushing back the release dates of a whole mess of movies. But the good news is, looks like Dune is 2 weeks early.
That's the good news.
Oh yeah, I love Dune, dude.
Amy's not here, so we can be on.
I love Dune, man.
The first time out it was boring. Listening to the audiobook is boring, and the movie is boring.
I know.
I heard it is too. I haven't seen it. I heard it is.
It is not. It is not boring. I will say that first of all, I don't get audiobooks. Never did. Okay, I don't need somebody
what do you listen
reading
to when you drive.
The music.
Oh.
What do you think? You know, that's what the radio's for, bro. I thought they did an excellent job with it.
I want to pull up with you in a red light watching you dress it.
Oh, I don't dance. I don't dance, bro. I just listen to the music. I don't dance.
As soon as an 80 jam, come on.
Depends on the jam. Oh man. Ron, you still out there, buddy? Because I got 4 cover sketches for the night.
Nice.
But all right. So I can't, man, you have been faking it when Amy's here. Really. You've never said a bad thing about Dune until this moment right
Amy
now.
reminds me very much of my goddaughter, so I try not to say things that will upset her.
I can't believe you've been lying to us, all of us.
The Eternals. No.
You've been lying to all of us.
I wish that Disney Plus had.
So you did think Blade Runner 2049 sucks.
Oh, it was terrible.
Oh my God.
No.
Moment of truth.
Just no.
Moment of truth.
And then there's whatchamacallit.
I'm ratting you out. Tomorrow morning, as soon as Amy and I get in the office, I am ratting you out, dude. I'm dropping a dime on you, boy.
She doesn't like you anyway, so she's home.
It doesn't mean what's coming out of my mouth.
Blade Runner, there was another one. Like, I thought there was hope. Like, Blade Runner, and I might be wrong here, I think it was Blade Runner Black Lotus. Just, it was an animated. No, just no.
All right.
Sometimes it's okay to let something go, right? I saw a thing where they had a conversation. In 2020, they had a conversation about redoing Terminator. And essentially what came out of it was it's okay to let it go.
Yeah, it's past.
They wanted to start again at the beginning because the other Terminator movies, each one they make is more and more terrible, right? Yeah. So they wanted to try to find someone to do that. And I think they talked about like maybe Joe Manganiello or something. Oh, and the bounce back was it's okay to let it go.
Yeah, that's jumped the shark.
Like Frighteners, every year or two we're going to do the Frighteners again, and I'm like, Michael J. Fox did this movie about as good as it can be done.
All right,
let it go.
Ron, I'm going to throw the other 2 CCAs right up. All right,
don't do that because then he's just going to log out. He's done.
That's up to him. I like Ron. Ron's a buddy. You know, everybody's a buddy, but he wants to see him, so we're going to do him. All right, so the next CCA is Deadpool #1, blank variant, signed with Titania cover sketch by Geoffrey Gwynn and Mariano Nicieza. And that's right. So
this character, of course, sort of.
All right. So hold up. I need to have this explained to me. Okay. Just so we know. If you notice on this one, on Titania's fist is a little itty bitty Deadpool. Okay. And that little itty Deadpool. Okay. There's a meaning to it. Let's see. The mini Deadpool on the mountain peak, the character says in the dialogue, it's not a balloon, but yay Kirkham. And I didn't know what that meant. So I asked Mariano and I asked
Robert Kirkman?
Geoffrey. Okay, hold on.
Geoffrey Gwynn?
Geoffrey Gwynn. It is Tyler Kirkham who's been coined the battle dress variant. And I guess his books have been flying off the shelves at auctions. But it's usually a character full of blood and distressed clothing. So that's why he added that, just for an explanation. Okay, so kind of a homage. So the color's kind of obscured by the hair. I don't know, guys. Seriously. JD, that's a very good point. 80s nostalgia grabs is all the film industry seems to have right now. They're going through a period. It just doesn't seem to be, I think we always go through phases like that, where they're trying to remake stuff. The horrible period with Starsky and Hutch. Oh God, that was brutal. That was so bad. And I like both.
Which Starsky and Hutch?
What's that?
Which Starsky and Hutch?
The movie
with Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good.
I don't like that.
Oh, dude, it was awful.
Do it.
That was a good movie.
It's awful. It's bad.
I love that movie.
It's bad.
I saw that in the theaters.
There are very few things Ben Stiller has done that I don't like. That guy sealed the deal with me when he was Zoolander.
Oh yeah,
Zoolander came on TV, and that's it.
I am
Jen
not.
Said she missed it. Do you want to kind of?
Well, you know what? What we'll do is we'll do a Rex cap after we come back from the break.
Okay.
All right. So Geoffrey is in the house. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Nice.
So he is. Oh, sorry. You're right, Ron. My bad.
What's the price? Well, Ron, what do you think it's worth?
Suggested retail of $149.99, and we have the one available for $75.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I'm sorry about that.
Is Nick
Ron.
here? Does he know you're selling stuff at half price?
I believe so. All right, here we go. All right, and then I promise, Ron, we're going to get to this one. Let's see. Thank you, Ed Weird. Thank you. That Dukes of Hazzard was a little bit better, but I agree with you. I didn't like either one.
Oh, and Marcus, yeah, Smile is great. I've seen Smile, I think 5 or 6 times now. Smile is absolutely.
That was when I texted you.
Yeah, Smile is worth going to see.
Did I tell everybody that story?
I think so. You did.
I can't remember, dude. Old man problem.
But Smile's. I guess they're trying to find new ways to scare people, right? They've kind of everybody's seen everything. Robbie talked about this a little bit, I think, last week about how everything is kind of derivative of everything else. Smile, they sort of found a way to, new stuff. And again, like I mentioned this, I think last week, it takes place in Jersey.
Yeah,
you mentioned it. Takes place in New York and Jersey City, so that makes me super happy.
So Lyle, totally agree with you. Paul Michael Glazer and David Soul were the Starsky and Hutch. I just feel like where they went wrong was it was a serious TV drama every week. And then you try to turn it into a comedy. It didn't work for me, man.
If you watch episodes of Starsky and Hutch now from the 70s, they're funny.
They had comedy in it, but ultimately it was not a comedy. It was a drama. So didn't like it. Horrible. Sorry.
I agree with what Marcus says, but to me, Top Gun Maverick is always going to be like a separate. Top Gun Maverick, people waited 30 years for this.
Yeah, I think they had
it hinted. At one time, Tom Cruise is like, I'll never be Maverick again. Then he was going to do it, and doesn't do it. And then, of course, he does like 19 Mission Impossible movies. And then finally, he waits long enough for the studio to say, whatever you want to do is fine. He just waited. All he had to do was wait. They were never going to try to recast Maverick or play around.
Would you hear the latest thing about Tom Cruise? He's talking to Elon Musk about shooting scenes outside of the International Space Station for some movie.
He wants to do like Mission Impossible 19 is going to be in space with a jetpack.
Hey, Tom Cruise, he likes doing that stuff. He does all his own stunts.
Marcus, yes, Huggy Bear. I love that. I love that. I love that show.
Vargas is the name of the actor who plays Huggy
You're right.
Bear, by the way.
I love that show. I also loved Beretta. Remember Beretta?
That was Robert Blake.
Yep, I love that show as well, man. Watch them religiously. All right, so let's get to one more book before we got to hit the break. All right, we have Heroes for Hire #1, 1 in 25 Talabao, I guess, variant edition signed by artist Brad Walker. Wow, and we have one available, number 5 of 6 for $40 tonight.
Man, I'll tell you right now, if you're a Falcon fan, this is like your moment.
All right. And then when we get, let me say, Ed Weird, my biggest problem with the Dukes of Hazzard movie is they took a beloved family show and inserted way too much foul language and nudity. There was just a lot of things wrong with that. I think
everybody has love forget Christy Love, Preston. I mean, Pam Grier has been in more stuff than I can imagine. I mean, the truth is, Get Christy Love was derivative of a show maybe 15 or 20 years before that called, I think it was called Honey West.
All right. So Ron, we'll get to that. I'm going to get that for you before the break. So then we had Deadpool #1, blank variant signed with, did I say this one already? Titania? Yeah.
We did do Titania.
Oh, I'm sorry. I circled the wrong
That's
one.
a character, like She-Hulk comes on, they bring out Titania. Titania's a character that's been there forever. And this is one of the things I really like about what the MCU and Disney Plus does. Titania, I don't want to say it's a throwaway character, but I guarantee you, if I go to any con and I go out to the floor and I ask for a show of hands for people who Titania is their favorite all-time character, I don't see a single hand go up.
You won't get a single hand.
I won't get a single hand to go up. But yet they shift Titania into She-Hulk, and I understand she's not the character that, I see this all the time, like review bombers and all this other stuff. Well, let me tell you this. Nobody likes Titania the way she was. She's just another big Barda-esque character, I'm the most generic of superpowers, right? And they talk about this in one of the I think it's an AWA book where the guy is like, I have super strength and invulnerability. And the lady looks at the clipboard and clips average powers. Like super strength and invulnerability are just not that big a deal.
All right, let me get to the last book because Ron wants to see the last book. All right, so the last CC of the night, Captain America #1 blank variant signed with storm cover sketch by Geoffrey Gwynn and Mariana Nicieza.
Wow.
And JD, you asked the question. Yes, the Geoffrey Gwynn in the chats is the artist who's done all these sketch covers for us. So if anybody has any questions for Geoffrey, you can throw it up in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, we're super fortunate. We've had creators take time out of their day to
join
pop
us.
in. Jeffrey's
Very
popped
cool.
in. We've had Ken Hazer pop in. Tom Stigowski's popped in once or twice. We've kind of had people that have sort of, it works out that this show is a great way, well, any show really, but this show in particular is a great way for them to log in and more directly thank.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I remember I talked to Ken one day about Ron Shepard. And, he talked about how, when you're an artist, how satisfying and fulfilling that is when somebody decides, I'm just going to collect all these. I really like them. I connect to them. They resonate. Like, whatever the reason Ron collects them, you know what I mean? That's...
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. And it's fun, so, and they're able to answer questions sometimes. I don't know how long Geoffrey's going to be in here with us if he has something else to do, but definitely if you have a question for him, throw it up in the chat.
This is what CCA's to do. This is 10-minute break.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Yes. And Mariana was kind enough to do the coloring.
He said I can do the coloring next time.
All right. So Ron is claiming both the Titania. Okay. Gotcha, Ron. All right. Let's see. Titania. And
you mentioned the look on Jeffrey's face if I color one of the things with like my Crayola box here.
I thought that's what we were doing next week.
Mariana, stay in the lines. For some reason, I don't touch
however, he will also wear the surgical black gloves so he doesn't smear anything.
The gloves are cool. I like that.
All right. We're going to go to our next break. Stay with us. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, hello there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Andre, folks. I am your host, Andre Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectables.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box?
What's in the Box?
comic culture and sales.
Hi, I'm Jacob Murray, writer of The Eighth Immortal and Court of the Dead comic from Sideshow Collectables, and you're watching The Experience.
We are live.
And we're back.
Again, we're always live. I have Ronald. Dude, she's sitting right next to me. I told her that I am searching Amazon Prime Day for the Christmas gifts.
I don't know if I've bought.
When's Prime Day?
They just started it.
They just had Prime Day.
Yeah.
Pre-Prime Day was 11th and 12th.
Yeah. So
What
they're
day
trying
is
to, they're trying to get the stuff in early. All right, so let me see.
That's why there's a picture on Facebook on the floor of that giant TV that doesn't fit on my wife's furniture.
All right.
Amazon's like, do you want this? I'm like, yes, I want this. No, I don't want to wait 2 days. I want you to send it tomorrow.
All right, it is time for a Rex Cap, and then we'll get into New Comic Book Day. All right, so first off, we had Panther, Volume 2, Number 1, Todd Snagowski and Janine Atchison, signed Atlas Edition. So dual signed in red, suggested retail $49.99. It is a best offer book starting at $19.69. Then we had Daredevil number 600, comic sketch art exclusive variant cover by Adi Granov, signed by Charles Soule. Suggested retail $49.99. It is a we have one available for $19.64. Then we had Secret Invasions number 3, DF exclusive alternate cover signed by Mel Ruby. We have one. It is a best offer book starting at $19.84. Then we have Heroes for Hire number 1, 1 in 25, Talabau variant edition signed by artist Brad Walker. We have one available, number 5 of 6, and it is available for $40. And then we had The Batman Who Laughs number 1, signed with Terry McGinnis, Batman cover sketch by Ken Hazer, suggested retail of $89.99. We have the one available for $69.99. I can hear Alex Dog.
I've actually been like off and on keeping it on mute for a lot of this stream.
You don't care, dude.
No, but it's I hear it, and she's actually been barking for like a good chunk of it.
We don't care. I don't care anyway. I love dogs. I get along with dogs better than people. All right, I got you down, John Spilios. All right. So Lee Bizzle, we did already, buddy. Yeah, thank you, Triple B. All right, where did I leave off? Rocket Raccoon number 1, blank variant signed with Rocket Raccoon cover sketch by Ken Hazer and Scotty Young. Suggested retail of $149.99. We have one available for $75.
My initial take on the Sydney Sweeney thing, real quickly, is I haven't seen anything that would convince me that she can be Barbarella, and on the flip side, I haven't seen anything that convinces me that she can't. Yeah. This is one of these things where if she's going to make that jump to that kind of movie, you just if they decide that's their person, okay.
And Triple B, John Spilios, hope you're doing well, buddy. All right, so then we had good segue, Preston. So then next up in the Rex Cap, we had Barbarella number 8, premium metal cover by Derek Chu. Suggested retail of $100, and it's the best offer book starting at $50. And then finally, we had Barbarella number 8, premium metal cover by Selena. Suggested retail of $100, and it is a best offer book starting at $50 as well. All right, so let's get into New Comic Book Day, fellas.
I'll tell you what, my shop is You know, they were getting shorted for a hot while. Books were showing up damaged. I actually think they're at the point where they are really cutting back on new comic book day books.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry, buddy. I missed it.
No, you're good. The shop has been, I've been talking about it. The books have been showing up damaged. Books, they're missing books, all that stuff. I think they've hit the point where they actually aren't ordering as many new comic book day books like at all. I get there. I mean, the shop opens at I think 11 every day, and I usually get there on Wednesdays around 9:30. I help them put books out, and today those shelves they're pretty empty. I'm gonna be honest, they were pretty empty. Most of the books that were on the shelves are all books from prior new comic book day, and they just didn't have a lot. They just really didn't, and they said they're not ordering as many.
Well, if you're not getting them or they're coming in damaged, it almost doesn't make any sense.
I talked to somebody today over at Comic Lair because I was up towards Princeton, so I shot over to Comic Lair, which I think is technically Trenton. They're just, their passion is hammered down by, first you had the pandemic. Well, first you had the whole thing where, we talked about this before. In 20 years, 50% of the comic book stores in this country went out of business, right, nationwide. So the people that made it already were a little bit twitchy and jumpy. And then you had, there was about a 10-year period where, the movies were great, but the comics weren't. So, that kind of stalled sales for them a little bit. You had everybody doing all these claim shows and stuff like that. So people weren't walking into Main Street Comics and dropping $150 on a collectible when they could watch a YouTube show and watch people $13, $14, $14.50 in a cocktail napkin. You know what I mean? That kind of, there's like a certain sort of, there's a dissettling quality to that, right? It really kind of hurts those people a little bit. And we had the pandemic, and it was a nightmare for most stores. And now we have this situation post-pandemic. I don't know how legitimate it is or not, but it's exactly what Alex said. People don't get their books. They don't get their books on time. They don't get their books in the right condition. And we talked about this. This is kind of like a conspiracy theory, which I think is very real. Different books are published on different kinds of materials or whatever. So you're asking people to pay $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 a book, depending on what it is. It's not easy. You know what I mean? And then, of course, back issues are sort of what a lot of the stores, at least some of the stores I go to, that's kind of what their strength is. You know what I mean? There are stores which are frontline stores that don't have to worry about that sort of thing, right? And then there are stores with celeb connections like, I can't think of a place in California where they do Bat in the Sun. That guy's Bat in the Sun videos powers him and his father's comic book store, by far. And then you've got something like, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. You think they really care about how many, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a money laundering operation, but I'm just saying, you really think people are sort of, like if a ton of new comic book they don't come in or whatever, Walt just shrugs, sketches, sells the sketch on eBay for $800-900. I don't think it works. It's hard for them. They're sort of like, they're looking for a break. They're looking for a big breakout book. They're looking for something that brings people to the store. And I just don't know, I don't know where they're at with that. I mean, I remember sitting through Jason Aaron, everybody considers him, like the man in terms of storytelling. Some of his stuff is very good. Then he took 6 months of my money with the hideous Fist of Khonshu storyline. That kind of terrible storyline just stalls anyone's interest. The guy told me right to my face. People came in because we had this conversation earlier today, and he's like, Fist of Khonshu again, when is this going to end? And then they don't buy the book. And it's all in aid of promoting a character which has never been more than like a second or tertiary string character. I don't care how good a job Oscar Isaac did in the show. The local comic book stores that are left, and this is the very first thing we talked about on this show when we started this like almost 2 years ago, supporting your local comic book store is super, super important and vital. Because I'll tell you right now, and I'm not going to, I don't want some mega corporation printing my comics. I don't want some James Bond villain run company in charge of distributing my comics, printing my comics. It's just not. It's not what people want. And I know some people say it would be great. Oh, I'd love if Walmart made all the comics. No, you wouldn't.
No, absolutely wouldn't. Imagine Walmart had a pull list for you. No.
You can pick up a gallon of milk at the same time.
You don't get it. The comic book store is a place where fans can go to interact, sort of like when we tried to do on this show during the pandemic, try to create the comic book experience a little bit. That's sort of what, that came from the comic book stores. Right. Every comic book store that closes, there's a group of people, board gamers, card players, whatever. They have to go find another place to go. And a lot of times those groups don't survive that. There's like a real hit to the community when, you know what I mean?
So Marcus brings up a good point. And yeah, it kind of was. I think that at one point you had pretty much a Diamond and
what was the other one? I can't think of the other one.
The one in Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember.
Exactly. I don't trust
Capital Cities.
Thank you.
Yes. And those were the two players, but eventually Capital Cities went under, and then Diamond did have a monopoly. So when this happened, I didn't think it was necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, thank you, Marcus. But we're seeing what's kind of happening now, Heroes as well. Yeah, that's right, Jen King. We're seeing that now all of a sudden this maybe wasn't the best thing. I don't know. Ultimately, it's the publisher that has to make it happen, right? So if the paper's bad or this is bad, who's responsible ultimately? It's the publisher, because they make those calls as the quality of the book or whatever.
1996 was the year I think we had. Jen mentioned it. We had everything up to the 90s. Of course, we had the whole Image thing. But I remember, how many copies of die-cut chromium covers did people stand in line to buy because they were saying, I bought 20 of them, so I have, $5,000 in value. No, you don't. Everybody kind of conned themselves. And sure, it was great. They bought a lot of comics, but in the long run, it doesn't work out. Now I go to these stores, and I hate to say this, but I go to these stores, and a lot of these guys just kind of have that look like, sure hope this is a good week. I hate to say it, but they look like Stuart from The Big Bang Theory.
Right.
People sleeping in the back of their stores because their whole lives are in trying to get this, there's still a Comic Relief. It's not Steve's Comic Relief anymore, but there's a Comic Relief in Princeton. And I think the guy doesn't hide it or anything like that. That guy's a doctor. That's why that store is still open. It's like his hobby. Believe me, the money he makes from his comic book store is not how he pays his bills.
Right.
Especially in a place like Princeton.
So he's funding it out of his own pocket.
Yeah, it's basically, if I won the Mega Millions tomorrow, there would be a comic book store.
So Triple B says the Nerd Store has a monopoly on the LCS in Salt Lake.
I've heard that before, actually. We had somebody else from that area kind of throw that out there once, too.
So that's not necessarily a good thing per se as well, obviously. But, the problem is, can the market sustain? And with being able to order things online now, it makes it increasingly difficult.
Philadelphia is a city that is not geographically large.
No.
Philadelphia is a city where the population is decreasing. People are heading out to the Lehigh Valley.
Right.
People are heading into South Jersey.
They're definitely going to Lehigh Valley.
People are shooting out to like Delco or even Delaware. But in a city like Philadelphia, you've got Fat Jack's, which has a show here on The Experience. We have I hate that I'm drawing blanks now on Second City Comics. I can't think of the name of it now. And you've got a third store over near the university. These stores are all within 20 or 25 blocks of each other. I'll have to look on my phone. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Old man problems. But the point is, these three. Jen brings up a really good point. Lots of LCS have Shopify on their web pages. That's to be honest with you, I don't look at a store's web.
No, you physically.
I just physically go to the store. But that's really cool to know. But these three stores in Philadelphia managed to all stay in business, all turn a profit. And they all sort of managed to, nobody's putting anybody out of business, and they're still managing to get tons of people to come into the store. And I think there are a lot of cities that didn't happen. There are cities like in San Francisco, where the first time I went to San Francisco, probably 20, 25 years ago, there were all these great comic book stores. Then it just became things from another world. like everywhere. There was the Things from Another World in the mall. There was a Thing from Another World in the market center. And one by one, all the stores just disappeared. And the problem with that was you would go into stores in like the little Tokyo area and you'd be able to get these great manga books that you couldn't find anywhere else, like real copies of like Spaceship Yamato or whatever. Once it was Things from Another World, it was just, Marvel, DC, Image, and really expensive reproductions of stuff from the 50s. Everybody remembers Things from Another World who lived on that coast because it was just a big robot from Forbidden Planet. And people came, they looked, they'd get a picture, and then they'd go and buy their books.
Now, I read an article that bookstores are seeing a higher demand for children's books, which may be a good thing to help to kind of turn it around. I don't know why. I didn't really read the whole article, but you begin to wonder whether or not there's something to that physical, tangible ability to turn pages and stuff, as opposed to reading stuff on your Kindle or your phone or your iPad or whatever the case may be. That would change things. I mean, I'm not saying that technology is bad, in the sense that when you went to a bookstore, and I think I've shared this before, one of the problems you're faced with is there are only select titles in any category. And you're really just looking at the dust jacket or the back of the paperback and trying to figure out whether it's going to be good or not. And what you would invariably do is you'd go back to that author you've read already and that you like his work or her work, and then just buy another one of their books. You wouldn't take that chance. Whereas so that was, I think, the negative part, because there's probably a lot of sci-fi writers that I skipped over because I never read their work, and I can't really tell anything by a one-paragraph blurb on the back.
Science fiction book club. They send the books to you, and then you just keep pay for what you.
Yeah, when I was young, after the whole
after
after the whole Columbia Records thing, my mom didn't let me join any more of those clubs.
I probably still.
I told my mom, it's just a penny.
It's just a penny. Yeah.
And she goes, then why did I get this bill? And I'm like,
and my old man self, the story of the books, I actually had to look up the name, so maybe I am having old man problems. Ontario Street Comics and Amalgam. And Amalgam, Josh, Amalgam is where I think I heard that Locust Moon was done. That was in University City neighborhood. But there are a lot of comic books in stores in Philadelphia. There's a couple that I haven't even mentioned, but it's just not that big. I mean, a guy like me that's not even remotely in shape, I can walk halfway across the city at a leisurely pace in like an hour and a half.
Right.
So for all those stores to sort of show me there are people, there's like a heavy concentration of people in and around Philadelphia reading comics, right? When you get other cities where it's different, like I understand in Orlando, there's a ton of comic book stores at one point. Now, one by one, they're all being bought up.
Well, I mean, in places like Orlando, you're hoping to get that tourist business.
Well, a big problem is for a long time you had the comic book store, I guess, at Universal, right? In the world of Marvel Comics,
right?
And even though everything was grossly expensive, a friend of mine who worked there said that the line for comic books at the opening was crazy. He's like, I'm not getting my books in there. There's no pull list. There's literally you just go bombing in, grab what you can, and go.
Yeah, well, I mean, again,
but I'm in Universal, so it's fine.
But yeah, you're trying to catch that people in a tourist mode. I got to get stuff. I mean, the endless stuff that you buy when you're on vacation. You even do it. You go to that one in Myrtle Beach, right?
I do, and I will. I'll be down there probably in 2 weeks, and I'll go down there and I'll buy stuff I had absolutely no use for. But I'm there and I'm enjoying it, and okay.
Yeah, and you're paying higher prices.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't get any kind of discount when I go in there. I mean, I think the very last time I was in there, I bought a bunch of stuff, and the guy, it came to like $106, and he's like, just give me $100, it's fine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Ooh,
and I appreciate
big $6 discount.
Jen just said she doubled their all ages book area this year.
So, and Weird says, for him, a big part of his love for comics is the smell. And can't get that from a digital copy. I don't disagree with that. But I think the problem is that you're at this place where there's good and there's bad. So as I said, I enjoyed going to the bookstore. It was a great experience. You're browsing through, but again, because they were starting to get expensive. They started. You started at. I get paperbacks for like $3.99, and then it went up to $6.99. And the next thing you know, they're $12.99, and you're not willing to spend $12.99 to take a chance that you may hate this book, right? So what's nice about Kindle that I like, a couple of things. First, you get a lot of free books. you're paying 50 cents sometimes for discounted books. You're willing to take a chance.
Yeah.
You know, I'm willing to take a chance to read it and say, hey, you know what? It stinks. I'm not reading the rest of it.
Well, that's why, I mean, at the very beginning, we kind of set this up, right? Number one, go to your local comic book store. Maybe you don't have one. Maybe you can't do that, right? So number two is go knock on the door of one of the people on the experience, right? I mean, I can literally pick a name and say, I need this book, and chances are they've got me covered. We'll work it out, blah, blah, blah. Here's my address, and they send it to me, right? Way down near the bottom, somebody mentioned it. I'm not one of these people that hate digital comics. I don't hate comicsology. It's just not in my first options.
I think that,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that there is a difference between a novel or short story and a comic. I think there is a substantial difference, right? Where Rubenstein says he has more digital comics.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't have anything against it. And I'll tell you right now, things that I want to read, but I don't think will have any inherent value, either financial or emotional, right now is I have Marvel Unlimited. And I enjoy reading that stuff, but I mentioned Jason Aaron. I'm not trying to hammer that guy or anything, but I just don't think his run will have a massive legendary value. So I just read them digitally. Now, maybe I'm wrong. And for the retailers that have the books, I hope I'm wrong. I hope you guys make a small fortune. But I'm hedging my bet and saying, really? You know, I just don't think this is, World War She-Hulk. Do I really need to go to the store and buy this and then store it?
Ed Weird's got a good idea. He'll use it. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll say this much. I mean, for me, the advantages but it's different because I'm just reading words on a page, right? So I think the experience is a little different. It doesn't really matter what the physical book looks like. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When we lost power, some big storm, whatever, I was concerned about charging my phone because I was charging it in my car, right? So I didn't want to read any books on my phone. So I dug out some old paperbacks, and I think one was Isaac Asimov's Pebble in the Sky.
Oh, nice.
That was a great book. And one other one, which was, I want to say it was 1984. Might have been. But, I mean, it gotten to the point where it was, where the cover's coming off the binding, and it was just, so I was reading that because I didn't want to use the power of my phone and run it down in case, it was emergency or whatever. So that was kind of fun. I kind of missed that physical thing. But on the flip side, I've read a lot of authors I wouldn't have picked up.
Yeah.
Okay. There were free books available through my Amazon Prime off of Kindle. I probably would not have picked it up if I went to a bookstore. Chris, thanks for joining us. But the second part of it is when I used to, since the pandemic, haven't really traveled. But when I used to travel in the 80s, okay.
Always forget the thumbs up until scolded by Nick. That's why Nick posts it a few times, because everybody's kind of having a good time, or they're on the other end of their computer going, why do these guys keep doing this show? They're terrible. But either way, they forget to hit the thumbs up.
Thank you, Gabe, for joining us, man.
Hey, but with all that stuff that you were just talking about too, it's crazy as it sounds. I mean, all the times that I was talking about with you guys, I don't really like digital comics. It's not my thing. I've actually caught myself over the last maybe month or so reading a lot of digital comics. I've been reading on my iPad. I've got this laptop here. I've got another computer right next to it, and I've been reading, it that way. And it's like, so I'm spending $5 on a physical copy, or $4 or $5, maybe even more, and it's damaged. Or I'm basically banking on hopefully the shop has it. Hopefully they get enough in. And, over this last month, I've turned to actually getting them online. It's like, all right, well, the shop got shorted. All right, it never even showed up this week. So what do? I read it online. And
that's the LCS getting jammed up.
It is.
By the distributor. It's not the LCS's fault, and as the customer, you can be understanding for so long. I moderate one of the food groups on Facebook, or co-moderate one food group. And one of the things, we'll have a topic every day. And one of the things we talk about is right now the restaurant industry is getting hammered, kind of like the local comics stores. And you have to try to have a certain amount of understanding. But even that only goes so far, right? You're a person with your own stuff going on through life. You want to go get you want to go get tacos. You want to go get your books this week. There's only so many times you're going to go to a place and they're out of Beria, or they didn't get half the DC books this week. And eventually you just say, you try to be understanding, even if you're a real good-hearted person, Eventually, you just throw up your hands and say, I can get this digitally. I can go online and buy this. I can hit one of the dealers on the Experience or wherever and get the books I need, and I literally don't have to put my shoes on to do that.
Well, here's a real practical thing that I think is a challenge for physical books. Okay, what I remember was going on a long trip, whatever the case may be, usually to Asia, long flights, going to be there for 2 weeks, so on and so forth. And before the age of Kindles and all that stuff, essentially the week before the trip would be a panic dash to the bookstore and pick up, titles to last me until the end of the trip. And
you know how many books I left in hotel rooms over the years?
Oh, dude.
Like
the carry-on, the backpack was mostly filled with paperback books, and it was getting crazy, right? Now, for the last few years, now when I go on a trip like that, I don't have to worry about it. A few times I've been at the airport downloading books. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then when I get to my destination, I can download books. Right. So I didn't have to really worry about it. I didn't have to carry all these books around. I think it's weird, or somebody said Paperwhite. I've been meaning to get one. That's amazing.
The same Kindle thing that Edward said was happened to my wife. I saw her reading the Paperwhite, and I said, look, we have Kindles, we have 3 iPads at different levels in this house. I'm like, there's literally everything is better. She's like, nope, all I want is this. So I can take it to the lake. And yeah, Jen just said the stream is getting heavy. I don't mean to drag the room down, and I certainly don't want it to sound dire for retailers.
Well, no, I think it's a reality we have to grapple with.
I kind of want to try to be as supportive as I can and explain to people maybe watching the stream, look, this is what they're up against. You know what I mean? Well, kind of get these people back. But
here's the thing.
Thankfully, Jen said her store stopped.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think there's a difference when you talk about a novel as opposed to a comic book. So I think the collectors will still be there, and you can look at this in a different way. So, for example, see, with comics, there's value in the physical book. With a novel, who cares, really? If I'm not buying a collector's edition hardback,
with a novel, who cares?
Yeah,
it's
seriously.
Society.
I've got
$300
no, but seriously, I've got paperbacks that are through the years that are falling apart, and I don't care. Okay, I'm not trading it in. It's just a book I like, and a book I'll read more than once.
My wife keeps wondering why my original copy of Salem's Lot with duct tape holding the binding together.
But I think that ultimately, so I think in the comic book world, there'll always be people that want physical books. But I think the advantage of digital comics being cheaper is you may take a chance on a title that you wouldn't necessarily want to pick up at your LCS and say, you know what, I really like this. I'm going to go to my LCS and buy the physical copy. And I think that's the one advantage that comic books have over novels and things like that, because novels, you don't really care about, it's a paperback, dude. It's not worth anything.
A little bit on the flip side of what I said too, a lot of times, sometimes, there's a lot of factors at work here. And I've said this to friends in the restaurant industry before, and I find it's true in the comic industry too. There are just people cut out for this, better retailers, people who understand, they put in the time, the effort, the energy, the emotion. And then there's people who think they can just go to a business, turn the key, and it's sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, restaurants don't run that way. And, these are like things like I really like in my life. Generally, it's pro wrestling, comics, and food, right? In pro wrestling, these guys have to work to get over and get bookings nonstop.
Right.
And then once they get signed to a big promotion, they have to keep working harder to keep their spot. When you open a comic book store, yes, on day one, everybody is excited. It's free hot dogs or pizza. I've actually catered an opening of a comic book store once to keep it going. You know what I mean? Jen just mentioned her store is stocked. She's ready to go. I walk in the store, I can find what I want. That would say to me, if all things being considered, if the environment in her where you're in Houston, Jen, Texas, she's in Houston, I think. If there's enough to support her store, that means if someone else didn't make it, well, that kind of tells you the tale about, maybe Jen's working harder, working smarter, or both, as opposed to someone that opens the door and says, come get the books. I'm going to sit down here and read.
All right. So we got to go. Hold that thought, Alex. We'll pick this up as soon as we get back. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
You just finished the last episode of your favorite new show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Hey everybody, I'm David Boer, the writer of Kanto, Killer Queens, and All New Firefly, and you are watching The Experience.
All right, and we're back. All right,
back.
so
Try not to be too depressing.
No, I don't think it's depressing at all. I think it's something that people who made CDs should and DVDs should have been having this discussion long before.
Yeah,
it is a change in format, and it's inevitable. Of course, I don't think the trajectory of novels and books of that nature are going to be the same as comics. Okay, I think that the benefit here is if digital comics are indeed less expensive, okay, number one, you have a greater chance of catching a younger audience because to them, they're not going to feel that kind of nostalgia necessarily. Right. Everything, they don't even,
Yeah, at this point, everything really is.
Yeah, everything is digital.
I told
games, the music, the books. And
I've told this story before when you and I have talked about it because you just have to go buy a new TV. A TV I've had for years I thought was dead. I couldn't turn it on and push it and whatever, right? And I'm like kind of lost. Yeah, I know. But what was interesting was for 2 days, I just didn't get around to it. I'm looking online. I'm looking for a new TV. For 2 days, my kid didn't even notice.
Yeah,
okay, she come down and I think she came down 2 or 3 times. She says, "What's wrong with the TV?" And I'm like, "It's not working." She goes, "Oh." And she grabbed something from the fridge. Yep, and went back up on her phone and watching whatever she's watching. And then the funny part of the story is, I'm getting ready to put it in my cart. I go, hold up, let me just check. Okay, why I didn't check this at first, I have no idea. Checking the back, it's unplugged. One of the stupid cats unplugged it. Okay, and I plug it and it works just fine. So I didn't have to buy a new TV, so I was happy, right? In my day, okay, when I was young, if the TV was out for 2 days, I would have lost my mind. Okay. My mother would have just bought a new TV to make me shut up.
I was a little kid. Our TV stopped working. My mom was watching her stories, as she called them, soap operas. The TV stops working. She called my father at work and told and basically said, "You have to come home. We have like an emergency." And my dad used to run one of the my dad ran a fleet of lunch trucks at construction sites and stuff like that back then. He would go from site to site collecting money, delivering food, whatever. He comes flying home. He doesn't know if I fell out of a tree, if the dog bit somebody, and he comes running up the stairs, and there's my mom in her 50s outfit, pointing at the TV that's not working. The knob had broken off, roughhousing with the dog. So he goes downstairs. He finds like some kind of like plastic tubing lure thing from his fishing box. He goes over there. He jams it in there as hard as he can. He gently pulls it out. The TV comes on. At that point, my mom looks at my dad and says, "Oh, you can go back to work." My dad routinely drove 100, 150 miles a day for decades. And he looks at my mother and he's like, that's how important television was. Now it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, you've got another device, but I think that the advantage is I think that you're going to get a younger generation, and they might want to get physical books, and it's not a bad thing that we're seeing that with children's books. So perhaps you're able to bring that nostalgia back with a physical book. But not only that, for current comic book readers, you have the ability to check out titles you may not have checked out in the past because you didn't want to pay $4.99.
That's what Comixology is for me. I read Night of the Ghoul, and I'm like, yeah, I need this to come out immediately.
So, yeah, that was awesome.
I'm reading a bunch of stuff on Comixology that I am waiting for it to come out in hard copy so I can pick it up.
So you have to be. I think as an LCS, you have to be able to adapt to the new thing. Sticking to the one thing and refusing to change or adapt is not going to keep you in business.
Well, that's what I was talking about. Is the retailer? Like, I'm always on the retailer side, just like I was always on the restaurateur side. But sometimes this business is not for you, and you know what I mean. Like, you keep trying to force it, and it's just. There used to be, I'm not going to name names, but there used to be a comic book store in we'll say Eastern Burlington County area. And that individual was terrible. That individual was absolutely terrible. He thought the comic book store was a place for him to sit on a stool, chain smoke, and be rude to people. And for years, he was on social media begging people to come, this and that. We have free cans of soda with every purchase. And I'm like, dude, you are a horrific business person and retailer. You should.
Hey, I told you, I've talked about on this stream too. One of the comic shops out in Oklahoma. I would go there. Everything was insanely disorganized. They never got their new comic books on time. And it wasn't because it didn't show up on that end. It's because they were never ordered on time. People are always coming in upset. And then there's no prices on anything at all. And even the back issue books that do a modern thing, $3.99, $4.99, you take the whole stack up to the front. He's sitting there. He sits in his chair right by the cash register. He sits on it's not even an iPad, but it's one of those little tablets. And he's playing one of those mobile games. That's all he does. And all then when you take your stack up, he's got to freaking look every single thing up on.
I don't know what he would do.
This is what he would do. He would look it up on Key Collector to see if it was a key. And if it was, he looked at that price. And then he looked on eBay as well to confirm. So this man, imagine you had 20 books. I've sat there over an hour before.
An hour, yeah. I was going to say it's.
So I want to address two of the comments in the chat. First of all, Ed Weird, not funny. Chris, I have no doubt. I mean, I know that the vinyl has become very collectible these days, and I wish I had all the vinyl I had, my mom's collection, but that's all gone. But here's the thing: the market has shrunk, and a collector like yourself, you've got a market to be able to sell your collection to people that are interested. But Tower Records is no longer here. That's the point I'm trying to make. Tower Records did not adapt their business model to changing technology, and they got buried for it. Okay. It almost feels like a blink of an eye. Tower Records, huge place.
Department stores did that too.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, my mom would wait for catalog day, and the mailman would be groaning to get up to where my mom had put the mailbox super inconveniently, and this guy would have to drop off heavy catalogs, 6, 7, 8 different major department stores.
Right.
Weekends were spent in the car with my dog while my dad drove all over South and Central Jersey, into Philadelphia, down into Delaware, to take my mom to this list of department stores with her catalog, order stuff, whatever. And those people didn't adapt. They did not see the train coming. They thought that light at the end of the tunnel was a bright future, and it turned out that that was not the case.
All right, so let's get to the rest of the books now. Yeah, I know, Edward. We'll address that in a second. All right, so next up we've got The Boys, Highland Laddie, #1, Virgin Edition, signed by co-creator Garth Ennis.
Wow.
We have one available.
I don't think I have one of these.
You might not.
I might have to do it now.
And we have one available for $75 tonight. All right, then next up we have Hulk Marines, #1, signed in gold by Greg Pak. Suggested retail of $89.99. It is #3 of 25 and is one of our 5-star books for $50.
This is a book I thought was a gimmick, and I guess to a certain extent it was, but this is actually kind of a cool, the whole Weapon H thing was very cool, and I think this is something I would like to see in the MCU.
All right, so then
I think seeing, you know what I mean? I think seeing a Hawkeye's character popping claws.
Yeah, it would be pretty interesting. All right, so then we have Ninjets #2, Lyrics Lee Ultraviolet Virgin cover, suggested retail of $50, and we have the one available for $40.
This is a great book. This is an expansion of the Jennifer Blood universe. Adam Phillips talked to Fred Van Lente about this. The covers were really cool. There was a Jennifer Holland cover that I snagged while nobody was looking. This is a cool book. People should. This is the Jennifer Blood universe, I think, has a lot of creative energy beyond just Jennifer Blood. And I think this is sort of, this is a great first step, I think.
All right, then we have Vampirella Mind Warp #2, Incentive 1-in-25 ratio Virgin cover by Jonathan Case. Suggested retail of $50, and we have the one available for $40.
And I talked to Jonathan Case yesterday, and Jeff Parker, and Benjamin Dewey. Get all three.
All right, so that's okay. We're up to 6
Well,
name drops.
I asked him, what were his influences, because I really like the look of this, and he was super honest. He's like,
everybody's too drunk to hear your story now. I'm kidding. Let me get through the last 2 books then. James Bond 007 #3, FOC incentive cover 1-in-10 ratio by Marco Finnegan. Suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $40. And then finally, Scarlet Sisters one shot, FOC 1-in-7 ratio Virgin cover. Suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $40. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
I like that. I like that cover a lot.
He mentioned that's very cool too. I like that. This is a really good book. I read this a few days ago. These are characters from the Project Superpowers universe. However, this is not a Project Superpowers story. It's very cool to see characters from the Project Superpowers universe kind of pulled into their own sort of little storytelling corner. Right. I think this is going to wind up surprising a lot of people, because they see this and they're like, generally we're used to seeing these characters with 20 other characters in Project Superpower, so everybody just gets a few panels of that. I think this is going to be this is very cool. I like the direction this is heading in. Jonathan Case mentioned, because I asked about influences, and he's like, back in the day, people were
name drop
trying to do Dave Stevens. He's like, now people are trying to kind of channel some of that Darwin Cook energy, right? And I think you've got some people that are really there doing that. And in Jonathan Case's instance, he's just trying to do, what feels right for the character. When he heard this was like a time romp, right? Vampirella. So, that was the direction he went. In the case of Joseph Michael Linsner, he decided I love the cover, to put Vampirella in a mini skirt version and go-go boots.
So, JD, can you drop the link for Edward for Nerdcular Warfare also the submission form, please. I think Ron asked for that. All right, so you know what? Let's do at 7:44. Let's do Preston's favorite part of the show, the Rex Cap. Here we go. Panther Volume 2, #1. Tom Snigalski and Janine Atchison, signed Atlas Edition in red. Suggested retail $49.99. It is a best offer book starting at $19.69. Then we did The Boys, Highland Laddie, #1, Virgin Edition, signed by co-creator Garth Ennis. And we have one available for $75. And then we had Daredevil number 600, comic sketch art exclusive variant cover by Adi Granov, signed by Charles Soule. Suggested retail $49.99. It is a best offer book, and John Spilios is in the lead at $19.64. Then we had Secret Invasion number 3, DF exclusive alternate cover, signed by Mel Ruby. We have one available for $19.84, the year that the original Secret Wars series launched.
And I really hope that people pick this up now, and instead of wait until Secret Invasion comes out,
Yeah,
and
no
they're
doubt.
wondering why it's so much more expensive.
Which is what's going to happen.
Which is what's going to happen. That's why this is another thing we've been telling people pretty much since the beginning. If you're buying Marvel, DC too, but if you're buying Marvel, they're pumping these movies and shows out on Disney Plus. Obviously, She-Hulk books, back issue prices, special prices were here. They announced they're doing the stuff. They announced they're doing the series. It's here. Now you go into a store, which I did today. All the She-Hulk stuff is ludicrously priced because the TV show is on every week. This is a chance to get this now before 2023 and Secret Invasion is the hot new thing.
I'm sorry. You know what, JD? You're correct. John, you bought that. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah.
Did I? Cool. Just put it in my box.
John Spilios, you bought that.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. All right. Then we had, what did we just do? Okay. Heroes for Hire number 1. 1 in 25. Talabau variant edition, signed by artist Brad Walker. And we have the one available for $40, number 5 of 6.
That is a great cover. I'm surprised it's still there, actually, because that's a really good price for that.
All right. And then we had Hulk Marines number 1, signed in gold by Greg Pak. Suggested retail of $89.99, number 3 of 25, signed in gold. And it is one of our 5-star books at $50. And then we had The Batman Who Laughs number 1, signed with Terry McGinnis, Batman cover sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have the one available for $69.99. And then we had Rocket Raccoon number 1, blank variant, signed with Rocket Raccoon cover sketch by Ken Hazer and Scotty Young. Suggested retail of $149.99, and we have the one available for $75. Then we had Ninjets number 2, Leverix Lee ultraviolet version cover, suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $40. Then we did Vampirella Mind Warp number 2, incentive 1 in 25 ratio, virgin cover by Jonathan Case, suggested retail of $50, and we have the one available for $40.
That's a great cover.
And then we had James Bond 007, number 3, FOC incentive cover, 1 in 10 ratio by Marco Finnegan. Suggested retail of $50, and we have the one available for $40. Then we had Scarlet Sisters one shot, FOC, 1 in 7 ratio, virgin cover. Suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $40. And then finally, we had Barbarella number 8, premium metal cover by Derek Chu. Suggested retail of $100, is a best offer book at $50. And then we had Barbarella number 8, premium metal cover by Selena. Sorry. Suggested retail of $100, and it is a best offer book at $50. All right, and that does it. That is the Rex Cap. Oh, and as always, we have the Dynamite 10-pack reader set, 10 random Dynamite titles. Suggested retail of $40 or higher, a $3.99 cover price or higher. But we have it, as always, as a thank you to our viewers, $5 for the set. It is 10 random, okay? So if anybody's interested. Sorry about that, John Spilios. Yeah, old man problems.
Yeah, we do. We did. I feel bad. I got no apology to Ontario Street Comics. I don't know how long I've been shopping there, and the name just blanked
We
out of my
should start
head,
drinking during the show.
I can't believe I forgot that, man. I feel really bad.
JD. Jokester. But all right, so where did we leave off in that conversation anyway? There was something I wanted to bring up, but old man problems. I can't remember. Darn it.
Alec, I hope Alec is getting a check as caretaker.
What's that?
At this point, you know what I mean? He's like the young person at the mall going, all right, Rex, all right, John, come on.
I was talking to somebody
today.
Because we were communicating about something about my daughter's team, softball team, and I couldn't. It was just getting too cumbersome, right? So I just called them, right? And I accidentally, because she texted us.
That look of horror when you're texting someone and the phone rings with their name and you're like, oh.
No, worse than that, right? So she texted me and my daughter, right? So I just kind of went to that text and tried to call, and all of a sudden it was FaceTiming the two of us. And I'm like, oh, no, right? So I had to swipe over a few more screens to get to her actual phone number. And I called her, and she goes, "Did you just try to FaceTime me?" I go, "Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm so sorry." I said, "This is what I tried to do." And what's sad is, like when I was young in high school, freshman in college, I thought I was pretty computer savvy. I was rocking my Commodore 64.
Everybody's computer savvy for about 6 months.
Now,
and then the world.
No. I spent a lot. It was my sophomore year, and we had a Commodore PET at our school, right? So a bunch of us were trying. Yeah,
I had a 128. But
yeah, well, I got the Commodore 64, right? And then finally, I got the 286. So I upgraded beyond Commodore.
Yeah, you went.
I went IBM. I thought I was a real hotshot, right? So then I had to joke with her that now technology is so passed by me. I'm like grandma who can't figure out the TV remote anymore.
What's it doing? It's ringing. Pick it up.
John, yes, you can. Let me see.
Preston had a question too. Are we ever going to let AR get back to his point?
Is it the?
Or we just keep talking about?
I'm sorry. Yes, we will. John Spilios, is it the one by Derek Chu or the one by Selena you're looking for? I think the first one is the one by Derek Chu. So just clarify, but I'm going to write you in. All right.
Those are both really good. They're just two very different styles. I don't know if you know what I mean. You kind of.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You've got this, Chu. He wants to Derek.
Okay, gotcha. I got you down, buddy. Right? All right, so go ahead, Alec. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember.
Young man's problem.
Oh,
well, we talk about so many different things. There's so many different conversations. That's in the past.
You really need somebody to be writing this stuff down, man. Between
Amy?
the three of us.
You can't bring up the old stuff
Yeah,
like
I know.
that.
That's why I'm saying Amy. She's gone.
Oh my God, it's too funny. We were talking about books. We're talking about digital books.
What I do know is I wanted to say this. I'm trying to even find a comment. It was a hot while ago. It was on regards of like digital, and it actually was Preston that I think made the comment. I think it was him that said something about omnibus take up just like so much space.
Oh, right.
And I was just gonna throw an addition in there that was like, while I have been this past month reading a lot more digital, it's pretty much only for newer stuff. I mean, yeah, some older stuff as well, but I love omnis. Like it is just we went to if you guys, you guys are kind of from the area, but El Tri-C, one of the community colleges in the area, they do a Comic-Con every once in a while. It used to just be once a year, I think, and now they do it like 2 or 3 times a year. And they never have omnis there. They never have hardcover stuff like that. But there was one stand beginning of the month. It's like all hardcovers, all graphic novels. I ended up spending all of my money at that stand. I didn't even buy a single back issue. I didn't buy any books. It was like right off the bat, I bought She-Hulk Omnibus, the Power Rangers one right there, and I bought it was a 7 to Eternity. I bought all 3 of those, and I was like, well, that's my money. I came here with cash. I stick to what I want to spend, and that's a wrap.
Well, I mean,
that was really the death for me because cons in the beginning, it was almost all cash, right? There'd be maybe one person with the credit card machine. Once, like every dealer had Square, they looked at me like, "We got you, come on." And yeah, that was the worst thing. They're like, "Oh yeah, sure, I want that," and then I have to figure out how to get it back home. And UPS loves that because they're like, "Oh, you're out of town. You need to send this halfway across the country." So that was a small fortune to pack and know the people.
That too.
And then, of course, it's like, well, you really can't afford this, right? You can't. This is $1,000. You can't afford this. But the problem is, I have American Express, and they have a Square thing. So it winds up going home with me. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to pay for this thing later. Back in the day, this book is $1,000. Yeah, I can't.
Well, I got to admit, I mean, that's one of the changes of technology and the Square has been very convenient with the adapter on that hooks right up to your phone or iPad or whatever. Yep. It's made a huge difference in the food business. I know.
Oh yeah, food trucks in the beginning were limited to cash, and people
right
were like,
because I eat at a lot of these things, okay, because of softball, and one of the most irritating things was you'd have to bring cash to eat at the concession stands, right? So now all of a sudden you don't have to do that anymore.
We're close. Congratulations to the winners.
Okay, congratulations. Now I don't have to do that anymore because a lot of the smarter vendors have Square, so they just run it and you're all good. And obviously for cons, it's got to make a big difference as well. So that's not a bad. Well, it's a bad thing if as you say, if you didn't have enough cash, you couldn't.
Well, it's
buy
funny. Like Jen mentioned, how her store is fully stocked, open, and she's happy, ready to serve people. Probably part of the reason is because a bunch of guys like me go in there and go, "Yeah, give me the books. I'll figure out how to pay for them later."
So
now, one thing I do want to say, only because we're on the topic of cons and New York Comic Con just ended. There's a YouTuber that put out a video about all the different covers that are out there. It was I don't want to say his name wrong. I think it's Swaggle House. He actually makes pretty solid content if you're interested in speculation and just pricing, stuff like that. He makes good stuff. But he made a video that he was showcasing that Key Collector had on their like New York Comic Con section 100 exclusive covers for the con, and that was just the ones that they were showcasing. There was over 100 different exclusives strictly for New York Comic Con.
Yeah,
and that's outrageous. That's in my opinion absolutely destroying the market. To me it is.
Publishers doing them. You're absolutely right. You have publishers doing them, and you have stores doing them. Rachel Holland, who's on this cover,
and
3 different days. She was signing 3 different con editions for 3 different people, and not Dynamite. Midtown Comics had one, and then I think it's maybe Olympus Comics had one. I forget the third one, but each day she's out there and she's at a booth, and there's a huge line of people, and it's a cover for New York Comic Con 2022, and she's there dressed as like whoever, and I see she's showing like a video. And down the line from where she was, everyone in that line, probably I'm going to say 17, 18, 19 tables with different cosplayers and stuff like that, they all were for signed con exclusive books for the con exclusive covers.
Right.
And this went on every day. So there's a certain point to that. I mean, I'm a sucker. I love exclusive covers. It's like for me, the more the merrier. I pick, I choose. But that's a lot. Man.
That is.
That's a lot.
Right.
A lot.
I don't even buy them anymore because they're so watered down, and it's just not worth it, in my opinion. They're all $30, maybe even $40 or more. Some of them are a lot more, but I'd say $30 is probably the normal. And it's like if you look at one booth, you used to go to the cons, and it's like, I want that Marvel exclusive. I want that. I like that. And now it's like, oh, well, I could just walk to the next booth, see what they have. If I don't like that, I'll go to the next one. Every single booth has an exclusive because that's where we're at in this day and age. And it's just, it's a regular cover at this point. There's nothing exclusive about it. Yes, it's yours. But at that same rate, a regular variant cover B, regular variant cover C, it's realistically kind of the same thing. It's just another variant cover. It just happened to have the word exclusive attached to it.
I remember, I'm going to say maybe 2010 Chicago, the line for a single exclusive comic was like day 1, day 2. People stood in line the whole day. They would try to pay people to stake their place in line or whatever, but it was insane. And now, I'm just going to go to the next booth. I'm just going to see what's there. Right. I'm going to pick up 3, 5, 7. And I hate to say it, but it's just with anything. The more of it there is, the less valuable it is. And I'm certainly not trying to hammer people. Dynamite does 8 different covers, right? Those covers in and of themselves have inherent different art styles or whatever. So there's a value to it. I really like Jonathan Case, so I'm going to get that cover, right?
All right.
But when it's all the same, and it's just, it's exclusive.
All right. We've kind of run over time a little bit.
We gotta go.
All right. I want to thank everybody. It looks like we had some new viewers tonight.
Thanks,
I appreciate
everybody.
that. Thanks to our regulars. Be sure to tune in on Friday for Nick's original art show on The Experience, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Some great stuff there. I will be on Rock and Robbie's channel, Pop Culture Philosophers, at noontime on Fridays. And the topic could be anything that Robbie comes up with. And we'll be back Monday with Robbie and Wednesday with Alex.
Hangover tomorrow, John. You guys are
our pleasure and weird, but we're that was kind of light night for you.
It was a light night.
You had 5, 7. I
Whoever's
was only
next,
7.
I'm sorry we ran late.
Yeah, we had that one night where we had 15. So thank you again, everybody. We'll catch you on,
see you on Monday,
next
everybody.
week.
Stay safe, guys. Thank you.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.